网络研讨会即将开始，请勿挂断。现在开始广播，所有参与者都处于仅收听模式。
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining today for our webinar, Hyper-Indexed and Highly Content for Linear TV and VOD. We're so glad to have you here today, and we hope that you and your family are safe and healthy, especially during these enduring times. Today is the third webinar in the 5-part series, Proven AI for M&E. Some of you obviously have signed up for this webinar, and at the end of the week, you will be receiving a recording to all 5 webinars. Now more than ever, we want to share our solutions with you with 2 primary objectives. One is to make your lives easier, and 2, to grow your revenues. I'm Daniel Wong from the marketing team at Veritone, and I'll be your moderator for today's event. Online with us today is Ben Howell, Director of Product Management for Media Entertainment at Veritone, and the product owner for Digital Media Hub. Ben comes from us through the acquisition of VOD Digital that we made in 2018. While spending his 7.5 years at VOD Digital, Ben had roles in product management, account management, and sales operation. Also, here with us today is Logan Ketchum, Director of Sales and Strategic Partnerships for our Media and Entertainment Business Unit. Logan has been with Veritone since its inception and has spent the last 5 years in a sales role. Today, we're going to be covering how, with highly accurate and hyper-indexed structured data, you have the knowledge and the power needed to make decisions, increase revenue, and improve workflows. We're going to be sharing you a presentation deck as well as a demo so you can see how that all happens. So without further ado, I'd like to hand it off to Logan Ketchum. Logan?
Hey, thanks, Daniel. Welcome, everybody. We're excited about today's session. And hope that we can share, some solutions that we have and sort of progress we've been making over the past several months. And obviously, given the current circumstances with COVID-19 and, the opportunities afforded therein. So just high level on Veritone, we were founded in 2014. We've got about 300 plus, I guess, employees and 6 global offices. I guess the global offices seems like sort of an irrelevant statistic right now. So I guess 300 plus individual home offices and living rooms and garages, et cetera. We focus primarily in 4 verticals: media and entertainment, obviously, government, legal, and compliance. And today we'll be focusing on media and entertainment clearly, but just understand that our aiWARE technology, core aiWARE technology, is the same across verticals, and several of the use cases that we see in media and entertainment do transcend across those different verticals. So really at Veritone, we've developed an open and flexible and powerful operating system for AI, which we call aiWARE. And aiWARE really orchestrates engines, cognitive engines, AI machine learning engines that are available on the market, and some that we sort of own, for optimized results, as well as a suite of bespoke applications that sit on top of that core aiWARE stack, designed for specific use cases and desired business outcomes. So, within M&E specifically, we tailor our solutions for sports, radio, podcasts, so sort of the global audio arena, movie studios, TV affiliates, and obviously, as we'll highlight in this webinar, TV networks. Ben, you want to progress the slide?
Yeah, should be there.
Okay, cool. So, specifically as it pertains to TV networks, we're really applicable at every phase in the content lifecycle. Now, I know that is your sort of seemingly broad statement, but it truly does depend on the level of effort and really involvement that our customers want to have as it pertains to implementing artificial intelligence within their respective companies. So, for instance, Bloomberg, they have the resources and the desire to be heavily involved in the process and take our APIs and run with it, injecting AI early in the content life cycle, and then obviously harvesting the metadata associated to those outcomes and the tools that we offer kind of throughout the process of their media business. For ESPN, on the other hand, obviously they do have the resources, but for them, primarily we work directly with their business units and provide front-end applications, through which they analyze content and inform strategy. So again, whether it's at kind of the very top end or the very bottom end, we sort of fill in at any point. Ben, if you could just hop back real quick. Sorry about that. Sure. So just to sum up, as you think of Veritone and TV networks, just regardless of its, the repurposing of show archives or the creation of digital content packages for fan engagement or viewer engagement, and obviously revenue generation opportunities through pre-roll ads and the like, or transcription, translation, and media transfer API protocols, with the effort to be increasing localization of content and obviously broaden consumption, or whether it's kind of, as I mentioned in the ESPN example, the tracking, reporting, and analysis, of both content itself and the ads associated with the content to inform smarter strategies. Veritone has you covered in this arena.
Now, Logan, you mentioned, I just want to help clarify some of your statements with the customer. You mentioned, Veritone has APIs to its aiWare platform, but then you also mentioned applications. Can you talk a little bit about what that means, that TV networks have access to both APIs and applications?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I would say 5 years ago, when I started with the company, and really when we went to market, nobody was in this space was coming to us for API integrations into an on-prem MAM or some internal environment, right? People just weren't really doing that. So we took the liberty of creating bespoke applications early that benefit from our core aiWare platform for the specific business purposes. So literally, we are the pane of glass, if you will, for several major broadcasters on the business unit side who are trying to impact whether it's content strategies or increase their ad revenue. So in some cases, we are sort of the application, the pane of glass through which they are doing search, discovery, clipping, download, and analysis, and we'll go through that. And then obviously, as the market matured, we aren't ignorant in the sense that we're going to be the front end application or pane of glass in every different scenario, nor do we want to be, candidly. So we've developed a very broad and robust set of APIs that any developer, candidly, who wants to deploy their own engines to be used by media and entertainment companies, or our customers directly, like I mentioned, Bloomberg and others, can basically access the raw horsepower of aiWare via API and drive their own autonomous workflows throughout their organization.
Right. So thanks for clarifying that. So basically, networks who have maybe an existing application or UI that they're using to discover things or find things, but would love to basically have access to some of Veritone's technology. We have API integration or access to that. Or if people like what they see in terms of the application that Veritone's offering, they can also buy that basically off the shelf and ready to go.
Exactly. And we'll go through some more examples here throughout the presentation.
Great, thanks.
So, these obviously are some of our marquee brands that we work with, good standing customers. And we will definitely go through some examples. I already sort of have in the previous slides, but, we'll drain some of these throughout the course of this presentation and the demonstration that Ben's going to give in a little bit. And then if there's any questions on any of the remaining business types or broadcaster types or specific broadcasters, please do ask at the end of the session, and we'll answer those, I guess, as appropriate.
Yeah, and as Logan mentioned, we'll be taking questions at the end. Please, if you do have any questions throughout this deck or the product demo that we'll be showing, there is a question chat box in your dashboard that you can feel free to put questions in there, and we'll be going through that towards the end of the event here. Go ahead, Logan.
Yep. So, kind of to highlight our first business use case that we've really been servicing since the inception, of Veritone through our applications, and again now growing in our own applications with modifications and enhancements as well as via API, is the ability for what I'll call and sort of generalize as content intelligence. So, obviously, as many on the phone or on the line can attest, when a broadcast network, specifically sports and news, the very nature of the content is unscripted. I mean, sure, there are rundowns that hosts are supposed to follow, and guest lists, and there's general data about what is happening or supposed to happen. But the very nature and why it's so compelling, especially in sports and news, is the very unscripted nature of that. So this specific example, we do have an application called Discovery, which essentially we built and CNBC would call Google for their content. So through that application, we enable users to search and clip and analyze clips or series of clips, what we call watch list, analyze those, in relation to consumption or engagement metrics, whether it's Nielsen or their own internal, different type of metrics that they want to correlate that against, just to get a better understanding of, literally what is happening on their channels, their respective channels, and how they can use that information to drive what happens tomorrow. So, from a practical example, again, for like a CNBC type use case, by running transcription, against obviously every word spoken, logo detection, trained to, applicable sponsors in their case, as well as, different public companies that they're wanting to track, which is an easy process to train. OCR, optical character recognition, that literally scrapes the screen of any on-screen text and time correlates that for a search and discovery perspective. And face recognition, I believe, in their case, trained to over 1,200 unique faces, which again is a very scalable and easy process through an application that we've created called Libraries, or via API. You can also inform the libraries, which essentially renders anything said or seen on screen searchable, completely searchable, trackable, within about 10 minutes of that content actually airing. So, we're processing these engines in real time. We're creating a really, really robust metadata set that is then temporally indexed or time correlated to the linear feeds. And then, in certain cases, we're passing that metadata back on to our customers so that they can harvest that internally. In other cases, as mentioned with ESPN and others, we're actually harvesting that in our own applications and surfacing up that data and the ability for them to search and discover. So, obviously, as many on the line can attest, the need for a better, higher fidelity understanding of what is happening on networks, especially when you're operating, maybe one or two primary national networks and several regional sports networks or affiliated stations, from a compliance standpoint, to understand, make sure that talent are staying on track, to make sure that viewership is as high as can be in correlation to topics and trends and events that are actually happening on air. We're helping folks sort of with that type of an informed strategy.
Now, for the folks on the air, we're going to be showing you a live demonstration of what Logan just spoke about. And again, this is our discovery application that essentially allows you to do all these types of leveraging AI to find rapid content, if you will, track and analyze topics and extract contextual data and insights, just like what the deck says. And I think once you see the visual of the application, you'll get an understanding of what we're talking about on how, Veritone discovery application is leveraging AI to let you find these actionable intelligence. Go ahead.
Yeah, and that, I mean, this piece, just keep in mind, we're talking a lot about our application in that sense, but we do have several customers that are doing this currently on what I'll call archived episodic television series, so that they can create bespoke YouTube channels per show to engage their fans with highlights, montages, mashups. Obviously, the primary purpose is to, in this current ecosystem, in the unfortunate circumstances surrounding COVID-19, obviously there's production shortages, and so this is a very effective tool to be able to go out and capitalize on the amount of time people are having to spend watching things. And obviously fan engagement is great, revenue is even better, and especially in the use case of YouTube, obviously there's plenty of pre-roll ads to run against the more popular shows to benefit from. So again, this does transcend not just through our application. All right, Ben, you want to go to the next slide? All right, so now, sort of similar type of a topic, and candidly, fundamental engines and core AI makeup. But in this instance, we're kind of focusing it specifically to advertising. So when it comes to advertising, especially given the COVID circumstances, advertisers are demanding more granular proof of performance data to inform their ad strategies. Obviously, people are having to pull back their spend. In certain cases, people are coming into the market because, in this new economy, work from home, these brands are seeing greater opportunities. So, there's a lot of myopic focus right now, obviously around sort of proof of performance data for ad campaigns across the board, and obviously, within the television network space. So, really for TV networks, as many of you on the call can attest, the reporting and pretty high fidelity reporting of traditional spot campaigns, which, to date makes up a majority of ad spend in TV, is nothing new. Where we come in is really the tracking, reporting, and analysis, again, incorporating audience data or any other third-party structured data sets that are appropriate, like such as point of purchase information from the brand, et cetera. Anything that might be a signal to a successful campaign, or a campaign that needs to be tweaked, we can sort of take in and correlate. And what we're trying to do there is, specifically for the tracking, reporting, and analysis of what I'll call in-content or native branded partnerships. So things, right, that are not appearing on logs, may appear on a rundown, but traditionally has taken a human to either watch or go back and make sure and validate that actually happened. We're sort of automating that entire process. Again, for many of the folks that we talked about, we do this not only in TV networks, but across the board, whether it's radio, whether it's TV networks, podcasting, and the like. So anything that is not, has not been incorporated on a log or has been heavily manual in terms of logging, we're helping automate that process through, again, running cognition to increase the amount of metadata associated to the show file. And then obviously presenting tools to quickly export CSV files, show, bespoke analytics dashboards, which you can see here and Ben will go into. So really tracking and reporting and analyzing in-content native brand partnerships or placements. And then really the holistic campaign attribution, including spots and native. So we do have an in with White Orbit and other traffic systems to be able to pull in sort of the ads run logs and correlate that, time correlate that to the feed. So we are incorporating, you know, those spots, traditional spots and dots, and in that same sort of pane of glass, in that same report, which we call a watch list, you could be tracking, you know, anytime the Geico logo shows up or is spoken. So you really can track the holistic campaign, not only track and verify that, you know, you have aired what you were supposed to air, but obviously you can do reporting against sort of who saw or listened to that ad through the engagement metrics. And then obviously, you know, full attribution to what then happened in correlation or relation to that specific ad. So more offline to online attribution through tools that we have called, you know, we have an attribute application, you know, candidly, as well as professional services that we offer for really, really, really finite and customized attribution reporting.
That's great, Logan. I think like you mentioned there in that slide, if you go back quickly, Ben, I think the currency for TV, and so I think this type of data set is very important, especially in that world of advertising and attribution and trying to show efficacy around that. Thanks.
Yep. Ben, I think it's on to you.
Yeah, thank you. So let's, you know, Logan kind of walked through the first kind of process and steps as we start to kind of harvest and index some of this media. So we wanted to talk a little bit about this intelligent media activation. So from a TV network's point of view, once I have this intelligent content and the analysis against the media, now I need the ability to act against it, not only from an internal level, but to also allow our customers to interact with it as well. So this includes leveraging cognitive data for search, content access, sharing, delivery, and monetization of content. And those differentiators really build up to another product that we offer called Digital Media Hub, which is a cloud-based asset management tool that again allows either internal users or external users to go in, really cull down and find the specific content in need, leveraging kind of this processing that Logan elaborated on. So I wanted to talk a little bit about some different use cases around Digital Media Hub and how our existing TV network customers are leveraging it. So if we start kind of at the sports use case and look at the Pac-12 and Big Ten networks, so they use our service to provide both internal and external stakeholders access to game content. So some of their customers, including like member institutions or schools, broadcast partners, digital teams, they all have a repository where they can go in, find the relevant content they need for any bespoke project they're working on at that given time, share it, download it, etc. Second to that use case, these two customers also leverage our licensing services to drive revenue against the archive. So we have both an internal sales team and research team that provides this content for various projects. So if you think of an advertisement, you think of a documentary, you think of a film, and more. You know, I've had my foot in the licensing business for a period of time. And a great example or use case that I can think of this specifically for the Big Ten was, there was a movie that came out several years ago called, I think it was Draft Day. And it was a highlight movie just about kind of the draft process. And we got a call from the production house making the movie, and they needed highlights of players to include within that film. So again, that research team is able to leverage our products, find what they're looking for, share that content, and then those filmmakers or documentary makers can then license that content, and then they're off and running with their production. A secondary use case that ties back to TV networks is for our NBC Universal customer. So they are currently using Digital Media Hub and AIware to streamline the curation and editing processes through our products. I love the feature that we spun up last year for them, late last year, I think it was in Q4. It was a edit decision list feature within Digital Media Hub, which allows NBC Universal to upload their episodic content. We ingest that content kick off workflows that can automatically run transcription and facial recognition engines against the content. That content then gets presented within Digital Media Hub. So their internal users can now find it, search for it, discover it. And then they would basically take those clips and organize them in a tool set we have called collections. So think of it as a pure organizational tool for research or what somebody actually wants to order from Digital Media Hub. Once that collection gets created, those users can simply click into the collection, and we have an icon that now says push to EDL, which sends a formal edit decision list with the time codes back into the NBCU environment. So this process is streamlining workflows and really making DMH and cognition critical for their day-to-day workflows.
Hey Ben, thanks for explaining that workflow process. It's very interesting. But if I was a TV network and I'm sitting on their shoes, thinking, I already have an existing digital asset manager I may be using or what have you. How does Digital Media Hub complement an existing digital asset manager with someone like it could be just any TV network out there today?
Absolutely. Great question, Daniel. So I would say majority of our customers already have an asset management system on-prem. So we like to think of our services and products as extensions to those existing on-prem MAMs or DAMs or PAMs or whatever they've integrated with over the years. We see, again, if you look at the Pac-12, the Big Ten, Bloomberg, they all have on-prem MAMs that they work with today, but where we're able to inject both our cognition into their media and then give these different teams access to that content, whether it's a social team that maybe is working from home right now due to the COVID-19 crisis, they can use DMH as that repository or that access point to find the exact content that they need to push to Twitter or to YouTube today. So it gives them flexibility, Daniel, to really expand the archive, make it accessible to the right people at the right time. And then on top of that, it adds new capabilities from a monetization standpoint, which we'll cover in the demo session when we go over one of the DMHs.
That's great.
So enhancing consumer experience. So, where we really see our products and applications supporting the consumer experience, it's really important to remember this. It's the second and third run of content. And Logan commented on this earlier, but this is where we help activate content after its first use. If we look at Bloomberg as the customer profile here, not only do we support processing and tagging of their content through Cognition, but we also help support their own bespoke front-end portal, which was built within Bloomberg. It's a subscription-based media access site where users can go in and download content based on those subscriptions. Where we come in, we are helping support the back-end processing. So whether that's the Cognition, whether that's content ingest, transcoding, delivery of media, we can still facilitate the back-end workflows to a bespoke front end that a customer is managing, but we still have touch points to make sure that their consumers can easily access that content, download it, and repurpose it for whatever use that they're actively working on at that time. And again, it's important to note that those use cases that we see within TV networks, majority of this content originally aired on linear broadcasts. So now they're repurposing it for monetization efforts. And we see this across the board with a lot of our customers that either leverage DMH as a single repository for monetization. It's their own portal where we can do ad hoc licensing. Any average user can go into that site, find content, download it, secure a license, and then repurpose that for the project that they're working on at that given time. So that is it for the deck portion. We are going to jump into the product demonstrations. So we're going to start with discovery. So Logan, talked a little bit about this product, but a very friendly user experience for our customers to really locate specific moments, mentions based on the program or streams that we're ingesting for them after we processed it through Cognition. I will caveat that this is a demo account and it is not currently being used by any customers. We are going to focus on CNN today because we do use it for demo purposes, but again, CNN is not actively using Discovery today for what I'll show.
And now, Ben, when you mention about the ingestions of streams, what kind of streams are you talking about? Are they live streams? Are they archive stuff? Can you put archive stuff in here? Just put some clarity around that.
Yeah, so I think, as Logan mentioned earlier, we work with a variety of different media types, everything from radio, podcast, archives, live content, where again, that analysis of the content, whether we're looking at topic tracking or we're doing something on the advertising front, the real time of ingestion processing is probably our bread and butter, but we have the capabilities to expand beyond just different standalone media. But Daniel, that umbrella is very big, and we do support a variety of use cases as it relates to the sources and program feeds that we get in from our customers.
Right, and so what the audience is about to see is, obviously, we already have some streams ingested, like you mentioned, and now once those streams are ingested into the Veritone platform, we are now able to run our AI engines or cognition engines, if you will, from transcription to facial recognition, object detection, and what have you. And from there, you'll be able to now find actionable intelligence, meaning find things quickly.
Exactly. So let's set that up, Daniel. So Discovery, so CNN use case. Let's imagine that I work for CNN. I've been tasked with completing an audit for talent tracking based on specific news topics. So my boss, he's asked me to provide a summary of the number of times that high-profile CNN anchors have been associated with the term breaking news or breaking news topics. So within our search bar, users have the ability to search across multiple cognitive classifications. In the right-hand side here, you'll see that we expose kind of what those are based on the org that this has been set up with. So we're going to first start with just searching for breaking news against the transcription. So my search result page will start to populate results, but the most powerful thing with our search capabilities is to leverage the multivariate search. So it's great to see that, hey, we got a bunch of results for breaking news, but I want to understand when a specific CNN anchor is mentioning breaking news. So under our face recognition, I can come in and start to type in one of CNN's anchors, Wolf Blitzer here. You'll see that I haven't actually completed his name, but the entity Wolf Blitzer is appearing. So I'll select on his name. I'll add that to my search, and then close this down, and you'll see in the top right, or in the search bar, right, we're making our search criteria for breaking news, and we're looking against Wolf Blitzer. So if I come down, this is our detail page. So I'll touch on a few of the features and functionalities within the detail page. I'll first open this up so users can kind of get a sense of what we're actually exposing here with that search criteria. So obviously our preview player here, a user can hit the play icon. If I hit play, we'll see once the service loads. Sorry if I was a little slow. So you can see, if you guys heard that correctly, we've made a match, we've detected Wolf Blitzer's face, and we've made a mention of when he said the term breaking news. So some additional features of functionality here on the detail page is our transcription data on the right-hand side of the screen. If I scroll down, we'll see where I've left off or where I've hit my pause indicator. If I hit play again, we have karaoke-style playback, where we're showing the exact transcription data that was returned after this asset has been processed. So in the right-hand corner, we have some additional components that a user could do with this media once it's been processed and is now indexed and searchable. So first, we can do add to collections. Collections, again, organizational tool for us to add specific media to a folder or a collection in this case. Users can share this content. So if I need to share with my team members, users can start to, kind of aggregate this content and be collaborative within our discovery application. Our trim tool is a great tool for our users to kind of cull down on the actual moment that or mention that they want to download. You'll see this is a very elegant tool that our Essentials team built out that allows a user to note the mention that was made that's highlighted in orange, and then a user can get creative with how much time of a duration that they actually want to see in the event they want to order this asset out of Discovery. So trim and download, once I make my in and my out selections, users can set those. I'm off and running. I can hit trim and download, and now I have my media file. Additional components within the detail page, export. So this is truly valuable for our customers that need the actual data that we produce through our transcription engines. So a user can select export. I can come in here and I can actually physically download the transcription data in a TTML, plain text, Word doc version, but users have the ability to get that data out of the system after it's been processed. And lastly, we touched on it, but through the trim functionality, users can also come in here and get a direct download of this media file once it's been processed.
Now, Ben, when someone takes a look at what you just shown, there's a lot of different types of use cases and people in TV networks that could potentially use it. Can you just throw out some potential departments or titles that can people leverage this type of technology?
Yeah, and I think that's a very broad range of folks that can use this, and it's typically specific to the use case, right? So if we're looking at topic tracking, maybe I'm a producer and I need to better understand, what are the areas that we're covering the most? Is it technology? Is it news? How much are we talking about COVID-19? Is it the advertising group? Do I need to understand how, are we hitting our ads that are displaying within our program feeds that are coming through Veritone? So the use cases are plenty there, Daniel, and I think it's very specific to what the end result is. And by leveraging the cognition and our data and our ability to ingest this content, any department can come in here and truly get very granular with the information that they're trying to track on a daily basis, weekly basis, or monthly basis. So again, going back to my use case, so I've kind of walked through search and discovery, our detail page. So say I want to automate some of this. So Logan, again, did mention this earlier, our watch list feature is extremely beneficial to automate some of this work. So I can leverage watch list, which allow me to set up specific search criteria and pull those results as content gets processed. And through our watch list, I can even set up notifications. So I'm able to actually get real-time updates on when my content's being processed, and I can jump in quickly to these kind of saved searches to better understand what's happening with my media. So we had previously set up a few watch lists under our content intelligence folder. Again, folders within a watch list, more of an organizational tool for our users to kind of break down the exact components and data that they're looking for. So if I expand on the breaking news folder, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to actually select 3 unique watch lists. So I'm tracking Wolf Blitzer, Anderson Cooper, and Don Lemon for CNN. So I've got those 3 selected. Once my search result page loads, right now I'm looking at every mention from when we've been tracking this media and running cognition against it, of when those 3 high-profile anchors were talking about breaking news. But what's awesome about Discovery and a revamped feature that our central teams just built is our analytics tool. So this is an elegant way to provide our customers with a visual dashboard to give them insights to the exact search criteria and the tagging that we're applying to this media. So we have our overview slide, right, where we're looking at mentions, program sources, again, program sources specific to the content we're bringing in, mentions specific to our search criteria of the term breaking news and that anchor's name. If I click over to mentions, we get a very elegant display of the dates in which these specific anchors were talking about breaking news. So again, a very elegant way for us to basically get a snapshot of the exact thing that my boss asked me to do is come up with some type of summary to better track our topics that our high profile anchors are discussing. These components that you see here are configurable. So we have just some general ones set up for this demo org, but specific to mentions, source type. Obviously, we're just bringing in one source for this. And then again, mentions kind of just different ways to cut and slice some of this data.
Now, Ben, what you just showed us was, it looks like more of a talent development use case, but I can see this with sales and marketing folks looking for keeping a track of maybe their advertisers. So, you know, show me when Coca-Cola shows up, right, as a watch list, and then doing 100%. A comparison and things like that, right?
Exactly. And I would say this use case is somewhat built around talent tracking, but also I think what's critical to that point, Daniel, is the topic that we're tracking, right? So in this scenario, we're looking at breaking news mentions. You know, you can adjust those within your search criteria based on the cognition that you're running against the content to find those specific mentions against an ad use case or against again the topic tracking. So I want to understand, you know, how much are we talking about this specific story where it's mentioned? Are there things that we need to avoid talking about, right? So this just gives us more insight and more power to our TV network groups to really call down on not only the cognitive data, but to output some type of results to truly give a nice visual representation of what we're doing against the media.
Right. And, you know, Ben, and also just thinking, adding to that expansion of use cases in here for the discovery application, I can also see this, you know, if a producer is asking one of his associates to say, hey, go find me, you know, when Tom Cruise showed up at the Today Show, and being able to then find Tom Cruise's face, and maybe if there's a particular phrase he said that day, maybe it will show me the money, and then being able to then cull down and find that needle in the haystack from the archive or what you have.
And that is the activation piece of this, Daniel, right? So again, we covered kind of the full circle of the media ingest to the processing to the analysis. Now I need to do something with it. So exactly that, Daniel, is giving our customers those insights to really find things that was a manual task for years and years, or something that just wasn't that a user couldn't find within their platform.
Great. Now, before you go on, Ben, we did have one question from an audience here. They asked, for the demo of Discovery, where does the archive of the broadcast content reside?
Typically, those are, we work with cloud storage providers. So with DMH and other products that we'll talk through here, as well as Discovery, we typically have archives that are stored in AWS or IBM storage, Google Cloud. You know, we have the capabilities to become more cloud agnostic with where those archives can reside. We do see majority of our customers kind of leaning into being more cloud agnostic. So that's kind of the direction we're headed as well with these content archives and where content's being stored.
And I would just add, you know, obviously we're ingesting this and it's, you know, generally H.264 proxies, definitely good enough to repurpose digitally. But, you know, keep in mind that a lot of our customers that license these applications, you know, it does come with the availability to license our APIs. So just as, you know, for instance, the ad sales team at ESPN can be harvesting, you know, through an application like Digital Media Hub, and obviously, you know, in our CMS application, we store all of that content for as long as there are customers. So, you know, CNBC can go back and review their media archives within Veritone's application to, I believe it was the inauguration day. You know, but we do provide the availability for them to extract the time correlated metadata and incorporate that within their internal archives so that they have, you know, a sort of a secondary set there as well. So, you know, I guess it really just depends on the customer preference in terms of, you know, long-term or whatever the use case is, where this media and corresponding metadata resides.
Yeah, and I think, Logan, to that too, that kind of drives back to that NBC use case, right? Where we have files that reside in the cloud, but we're we're able to run cognition and correlate those time codes back to an archived piece of media into their actual environment, right? So you can actually leverage the cognitive data that we're producing and bring that full circle back into an existing on-prem environment.
Great, Ben. Just from a time check perspective, it is 10:45. Let's move ahead to the demo on the Digital Media Hub.
Okay. So we're going to stick with our CNN theme. So CNN does currently use Digital Media Hub as a monetization service to license their own content. The CNN team also uses DMH as a research tool to help locate content for potential licensing projects that they're getting calls about. So I'll quickly kind of cover just a DMH or Digital Media Hub overview, and then we'll get into some of the features and components of Digital Media Hub. So white label UI allows customers to configure look and feel so we can match a customer's brand. We have the ability to do some customizations around the logos, the hero video that you're seeing behind the search bar, the accent colors, the header, the footer, our tile view versus gallery view, a call to action if somebody's looking to license content. It's a very simple and intuitive user interface. We have enhanced search and discovery of content with enriched metadata, especially with the cognition data that we're bringing in. User access management is critical to DMH. We can set up accounts and roles to either restrict back content access or open the floodgates so anybody can see the content. And we support a ton of different content types. So we work with video content, we work with audio files, we work with images, PDFs, zips, etc. So a lot of our customers take advantage of the content that we're able to support.
So Ben, before you move on, you mentioned the word Digital Media Hub, and obviously that's a product name for Veritone, but in your own words, how would you describe a Digital Media Hub to our audience?
Yeah, it is a cloud-based asset management tool that can truly be branded and specific to our customers' need and have the ability to search, discover, preview, download, share, and monetize that content based on the use case.
That's great. Thanks.
For this specific DMH, we do have a price book that we've enabled, as well as standalone license agreements. Again, so any user can come in here and they can start their project and start to do their research and get a license eventually to use the content downstream. We've also integrated with a credit card processing system that again allows for those ad hoc transitions. So let's talk a little bit about search. So we have a few different search methods within the DMH. Starting at the top, our navigation. So this is all managed within our CMS. CNN gets a little creative with FAQs, contacts, their blogs, but these are quick hit links to specific content types they want to feature. So any user can come in here and they can select CNN exclusive, PBS NewsHour, and they're jumping right into a search for that specific content. We also have our global search bar. This does include type ahead text. So a user can start to search for a term and users will get pre-populated results for what they're looking for. Below the fold, we have our tile view. So again, these are quick access links for a user to find relevant footage. These can be swapped out based on kind of timing of what a customer wants to feature here. So I'm going to click into elections, and we'll talk a little bit about the asset detail page, or sorry, the search result page. So tons of features and functionality here to really help a user find the piece of content they need. Starting on the left-hand side, we have our custom filter trees. So these can be customized based on the user's need and want. And these can be different, again, back to that account and user role. If I'm an admin and I'm an internal employee, I might have a different set of filters than, our standard B2B play where users may see what I'm looking at here. So a user can select, say, I'm looking for branded content. Shot on date is critical for CNN to use. So once my filters get applied, we'll note those up here. You can see that my search result page just refreshed. We have a few different UX displays for our users, right? So we can sort by different data, right? Event date, relevance, duration, title. So if I hit relevance, right, we'll see my search result page also refresh. now that I'm looking at kind of a different snapshot of the clips associated with the search term election. Right now we're looking at grid view. Users can toggle this, that flips them over to title view, and then they can see some additional structured metadata against these assets. As a user, I can also hover over an image, automatically start to play a preview rendition that we create on demand when content gets ingested. We also will expose some additional metadata below the preview, so some technical information about the media file, the broadcast standard frame rate, etc. From the search result page, users can actually download comps if permissioned. So right now, if I'm an editor, I'm doing something on the election, I could download a bunch of comps out of here, throw them into my sequence, start my edit in Premiere, and then come back to us or CNN and say, hey, I'm ready to license this content with some watermarked comps. So there are security measures that we go through to ensure that users are downloading watermarked comps unless they have the permissions to see the master content. So I'm going to jump into the asset detail. So to highlight some features here, obviously our preview player window, we do have the ability to clip, so I can actually see specific time codes. Say I just need a little snippet of this interview, I can select my out point. Again, some of the same functionality exists on the asset detail page as if it was in the search result page, so I can download comps from here. Again, permission-based, I can get the native. Users can share content here, as well as add to collections.
Now, Ben, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I take it also there is some light editing feature. So if someone doesn't like the full, let's say here, the 3-minute version of this clip, you have the ability to also clip that even to a smaller length?
100%, Daniel. So that's kind of with these in and out points here. So if you think about it from like a Big Ten or Pac-12 perspective, we have full 3-hour football games. If I need to clip up specific moments, find those moments, right, that have been tagged through aiWare, those users can go in there, they can add pad, right? So you're not trying to download a 3-hour football game. You're just getting the moments that were sub-clipped, either based on the data or that you're manually kind of just scrubbing through trying to find.
Nice.
So below the fold, just real quick, just some additional structured data, or we can also expose the cognitive data here, 3 tabs that a user can kind of click through. This is going to be metadata that our TV network provided, as well as technical information against the video file. So the killer part about the CNN Digital Media Hub is that we have quotes enabled. So basically, if I'm a CNN employee, I'm doing research for a project, I add my clips to a collection, I can then establish a rights package for the license. So a user can come in here and they can select various rights associated with the use they need. We have that custom price book enabled, so we're actually populating a price that correlates to both the time codes as well as the rights that they've selected. I'll hit apply there. You'll see we populate that price within the asset detail page, and then I can throw that in my quote. We'll see a little pop-up toast in the left-hand corner. My quote's now up in the right corner, has a little 1 indicating I have a pending asset in the quote. And I'll kind of cover this briefly, just given our time. So the current quote, right? So we have these system licenses that can be configured within the backend. Offline license, system license. You can title, name your project as is. We're going to expose the rights package that a user is attempting to license this content to, and you can edit that here. We're also exposing the duration of the subclip that we've ordered. And our biggest value add here is our transcoding capabilities. So again, we work primarily with master content that we don't necessarily touch, but then we have services in the background that can transcode content to a flavor or a codec that a customer needs. These are all configurable and we can add as needed based on the customer's use case. So if I work at CNN, I know this user needs an H.264 file. I got my price, I got my rights, I can proceed to our recipient options. So this is where I'm actually filling out the information for the user that's going to get the quote. We'll do a quick QC page, invoice detail, who's the bill to, who is licensing the content, and then I can proceed to confirm, fire this off. It sends an automatic email to that end user they can click through the license, and then they can download the content.
Now, Ben, this is a really cool. I love the digital media hub because it's pretty cool. This obviously shows the outward facing, public facing part of how you can monetize and license your media. But do you have to set up another digital media hub if you want it for internal purposes? So I can see how CNN may want to show these clips, but to their marketing team, give them access to these stuff, or their other parts of the production in-house departments or what have you. Do you need to have multiple digital media hubs for that, or can you just have one media hub, digital media hub, and then just authorize different permissions, if you will?
Yeah, so with the CNN Digital Media Hub, obviously it's a public site, so anybody can go find this today. But the great part about, again, Digital Media Hub and where we differentiate is our accounts and our roles. So you only need one DMH, and I can configure a DMH for an admin CNN user. It can basically be this asset repository that they can come in, search, find, download, not mess around with the quotes and the licenses. Or two, I can have it publicly exposed so a B2B customer can come in here, find what they're looking for, contact me if they need help, and off and license. So it is a true single product that we can configure specific user roles and accounts to make the access levels different.
Very nice.
So that's a wrap on the demos. I'll jump back to the presentation. We can do Q&A.
Great. Well, thank you, everybody. Again, if you guys have any questions, feel free to put your questions in the chat box here. Ben, as we're waiting for some questions to come in, and I know we have a couple minutes here. Ben, you live and breathe Digital Media Hub day in and day out. Just out of curiosity, what have you found as the most prominent feature or value prop that you've heard from most customers around the Digital Media Hub?
Yeah, and it's relatively new to us based on kind of the Veritone acquisition, but the cognitive data, this intelligent media that, we used to spend countless hours scrubbing through melts or TV broadcasts or episodic programming to find specific moments. That's a huge resource suck. If I'm able to take my content, process it through our various cognitive classifications, that streamlines a ton of my workflow to not only find relevant media based on the project I'm working on, but to maybe find things I didn't know existed in my archive. So I think it is truly the proven method that we can now expose that cognitive data, make that relevant within DMH, and allow users to truly find the moments that they are looking for quickly.
Great. And Logan, I'm going to ask the same similar question to you, but now for our discovery application. You've sold this for 5 years to various customers. What do you think? What is the power of the discovery application that people find about it?
Yeah, I think it's the scalable ability to understand, from a very granular perspective, what exactly is happening on your channels or candidly competitive channels to better inform sort of future strategies without applying, a large workforce to go in and manually sort of track, review, or log the content. So I think, that the customers that we have highlighted and that are using these tools effectively have been able to directly impact the quality of both their programming and the amount of ad revenue that they're able to generate from their branded partners by showing them, a very high fidelity in terms of reporting from a proof of performance perspective, which obviously just builds sort of that transparency and trust that brand advertisers are seeking, especially in today's market. So there's a great opportunity to directly impact the intersection of content and ads. And I think the broadcasters, the TV networks, even in audio, the folks that, especially in today's environment, that can do that effectively stand to benefit greatly.